Good afternoon, YouTube land. This is Brian at CNET Studios in New York. And today we are doing a very late edition of the 359 podcast with Roger Chang, Ben Fox-Rubin, and Jessica Dolcourt. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Morning.
It's morning somewhere.
Afternoon, yeah.
Afternoon.
Morning somewhere.
I think it's called the 359 because we're going to wrap up at 3:59.
Oh,
God.
yes.
Ooh.
That actually could work, except that would drag on way too long for us.
Well, what time is it?
3:30.
3:31.
I gotta get back to work.
Well,
Just barely.
welcome YouTube to another episode of 359. We're here with a special guest, Jessica Dolcourt.
Bum, ba, da, bum.
That's
Visiting
right.
from San Francisco.
And,
Yes.
and our resident expert on all things Samsung. We'll be devoting the entire show to talking about the new Galaxy Note 7. That's the big flagship phone.
That was launched a couple hours ago.
Samsung just had its big event here in New York City at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Hammerstein. And so we'll be talking about that. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments section. Brian will pick out the best ones. We'll try our best to answer them.
And you guys were at the event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was watching like a schlemiel here on the live stream. So yeah, must have been nice.
Actually,
Yeah.
part of it was pretty cool. So when they announced the Galaxy S7 in Spain, they had this like boxing ring type setup where it was a cube and everybody sat around it,
Yep.
which was kind of fun, right? It was like theater in the square.
Yeah.
And then today, they couldn't do that because it was just a traditional everyone sits forward theater,
Right.
but they used the floor space.
Yeah.
So they used like the back screen, and then it seemed like there was a second screen on the ground.
So they took out a lot of the front row seating, so they kept it all kind of flat. They put in, I think, like small LED plates or whatever that allowed it to kind of broadcast digital like LED images from the floor.
Wow.
So that it all kind of worked together. Like when there was like a picture in the Note on the big screen of the city, you get the full cityscape on the floor.
Where you were sitting?
No. Where like basically the floor space
Of the stage.
Of the stage.
Yeah. It
we
was
got
cool.
a hot
I saw
tip
like
to
the
sit in the
sweeping.
balcony.
Yeah.
So we actually had the whole
So we
top-down
were
view.
told to sit in the balcony. We're like, why? That's not the front row. We want to be in the front row, get close to the products, and it's because they want us to get the full perspective of the stage,
It was cool.
which was really cool.
it was
like,
well done.
It's an
Yeah,
impressive stagecraft.
It took me a little while to figure out they were like LED lights. I was like, are they actually like broadcasting that? Or are they like, is it a spotlight? Wow. But it was done really well. I thought it was more impressive with the phone.
Yeah, no, they announced afterwards that actually was a phone. It was the next big tablet.
That's the Note 8, actually. You just have a truck to take it with you at all times.
Or maybe it was a bunch of Note 7s at the bottom, and when you walk over them, like we all like crunched them, broke the screen. It's like the true test of Gorilla Glass 5.
That's true.
Body weight.
Man, that was a geeky joke. Should we get started with the actual podcast?
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we get carried away.
Yeah, we'll get carried away afterwards, especially if you have any questions. We'll
Especially
try
when
our
we talk
best.
about robot arm.
Yes, we're going to talk about robot arms as well. There's context. It was at the Samsung event,
Sure.
and Jess had a really good time with
I
it.
did.
That sounded really bad. Okay, never mind. Let's get
right.
started.
All right, I can't see that from here, so I don't know. Give me some sort of indication, like one of these when we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
Or this.
Just
whatever.
robot arm him.
I'll do
Yeah,
this.
robot arm.
I'll just do this.
Fine.
Just remember it's set to 5 minutes, even though it's a 4-minute podcast. I just don't want the alarm to ring in 4 minutes.
I think it'd be funny if it did.
Sure. So
And
we
we're
can do it
out.
all over again. Dee, dee, dee. All right, Brian, whenever you're ready.
All right, we got audio rolling. Take it away in 3, 2.
Welcome to the 359, where we talk about the top tech news of the day and all the other crap we want to throw in. I'm Roger Chang,
I'm Ben Fox-Rubin.
and with us is special guest Jessica Dolcourt.
Hey guys.
Delcord.
Woo!
She comes all the way from SF to talk about Galaxy Note 7.
Yeah.
The big announcement from Samsung just a few hours ago. It's why we're taping a little bit late. We were at the event.
Not
so-
me, but you guys were.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
VIP
okay.
only.
The cool kids were there, so that's all that matters. Well, let's talk about the Galaxy Note 7. It's Samsung's latest flagship phone. Jess, why should people care about this?
Okay, well, that's a great question. Basically, this is the most powerful phone of the year that Samsung makes. It's been like this for a while. You've got the S7 series that comes out in the spring, and then Samsung caps it all off just in time for holiday and in time to battle Apple with all of the most impressive specs that it can get on this phone that has something that no other phone does, which is a stylus. Okay, there are a couple other phones that have it, but
Right.
it's no good. This one is actually pretty good, and it's like a beautiful device. There's this coral blue color, which is like very sexy.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you're probably not going to buy a phone for the color,
Right.
Or I won't. I
You put it
don't
in a
think you
case
should buy a
anyway.
phone for a color. Yeah, it's got a case that has its own stand.
Although it is waterproof, so maybe I don't need a case for it.
And so is the pen, right? So
Yep.
so as an update from last year's Note 5, it gets all of the things that the Galaxy S series already has. So it gets a better camera with low light photography, faster processor, etc.
So let me jump in there because Ben had a confused look. Last year's was the Note 5. This year's is the Note 7.
yeah.
That wasn't a mistake.
That was a mistake. They
Just
skipped a
took
number
that for
to
granted.
keep things in line, but they explained that it was based off of the S7 platform. So
Okay, but if you actually
Oh,
count
God,
them up,
please
everybody
stop.
forgets about the Note Edge. This is actually the 7th Note phone.
Because of
Nobody
the
remembers
Edge,
the
if you're
Note
gonna
Edge.
count-
Oh
if you're
yeah,
gonna count the
yeah. People
Edge.
do forget that phone because it's a terrible phone.
Okay, so you gave extremely high marks to the S7 Edge, right? That was in
Yeah, it was
Editor's
good.
Choice.
It came together.
It was
You're
like-
expecting
that was
the
a
Note
5-star phone,
7
right?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're expecting the Note 7 to like also do just as well? Is this like?
Yes. I expected
Mm,
when it comes to like performance and battery life and all that good stuff and failing or passing our pool test, like yes, I expect for that phone to do just as well. But then you're adding in the extra pen elements, so that has to get its whole other testing.
Right.
Does it do everything it says? Or is there a problem? Because it's very complicated and there's all this extra software for it, right?
So the bigger question for me is, I mean, you brought this up. They're bringing this phone up in time for the next iPhone. Is this going to be enough to, retake the crown? Because last year in the fourth quarter, Apple actually took the phablet crown. This is an area that Samsung has dominated, but Apple in that last quarter, with the Plus line, was able to surpass them. So is this enough to get them back on top?
Not for true iPhone fans. It's absolutely not. Because I think if you're going to get the Note, you need to like that pen.
Right. So it's not the iPhone that we wanted.
No, because the iPhone is the iPhone, right?
Right.
So you always have people who are going to fall into that camp for whatever reason. And Android is a different universe.
Right.
I think in some ways it's a lot better. I love the Google services.
Sure.
But in other ways, when it comes to the absolute like craftsmanship of a device,
Yeah.
Apple really has that nailed, partially
Yeah.
because they control the software and the hardware.
I would say, as an iPhone 6s Plus user, features I really want: wireless charging, waterproof. This is a phone with a larger screen but a smaller body, a significantly smaller body.
It looks
than-
really slick.
It's a nice phone.
There are some nice, being an Apple guy, there are some nice add-ons these days to really make you consider switching over.
Right.
So,
Google Now.
So, want to know more about these stories? Check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
And I'm Jessica Dahlcourt.
Thanks for listening.
And we are clear on the recording. I'll start skimming the comments.
All right.
We did it.
Wow, we're only like
right.
10 seconds off.
Sorry.
Jessica,
No,
we
no,
You got
it's not
so
your
much.
fault.
You crammed so much information.
I
That's
didn't even
good.
talk about iris scanning.
I know.
Or the robot arm.
Well, we can
robot
tell YouTube about robot arm.
Did
Well,
we
yeah,
flick
did
to
you
the
wanna look at
in
robot
the
arm?
beginning and then not mention it later? That would have been bad.
I don't know.
I don't think we did.
No,
we did in the pre-show.
So let's talk about the robot arm.
Let's talk about the robot
Can
arm.
Brian still flick to robot arm?
Yes, absolutely.
Brian
We've
can
got
do
we've got
anything.
some robot arm footage. This was
is robot
outside.
arm.
Well, this was in the Samsung event, right outside of the main stage. This robot arm is drawing or sketching images of people's faces.
So what they did is they took a picture of me. That's not that one. There's the second video.
Those are
That's a
all
picture of
Jessica,
me.
by the way.
They're all-
Different interpretations.
Different
I
faces.
like posing. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay? It's not a crime.
There's Jessica right there.
Okay,
There
that is
we
a
go.
disturbing picture. So they took a picture of me, and I thought that I would do something fun. So I went, like smile, hands,
Right.
like little vaudeville, right? And I thought it would just be different from like a whole wall of smiling faces, and that's what I got. I got like a black eye, and then just all these squiggles because it's like the flowers in my dress and my hair, and it's like too curly. What's going
So
on?
this isn't
I'm
going to
still
be your
proud of-
Twitter profile picture.
So obviously, so basically, I broke the robot machine.
Good for robot arm.
Yeah.
Robot arm is still probably pretty young. I
Right.
mean, we just built, so
Needs to figure
considering
things out.
his age, he did a really good job on your face.
Some growing pains.
You're gonna have to punch me in the face for me to look like that, though.
No,
We're definitely not going to
I'm
be
just-
doing that with the shows.
It's just a sliding scale for robot arm. I'm just trying to be a nice dad on
when
this
we
one.
first got in, it was drawing like on a canvas. It was
Yeah,
drawing,
we
like,
were
a
in this
cityscape or
holding
something.
area before we got into the ballroom, the audience, the actual reception room. And that was the only thing that was keeping our attention because we're kind of jammed in before the
And
event
it was
actually
serving
started.
drinks in between.
Yeah.
This was
That'd be
it was
mixing
using
cocktails.
it was using the S Pen, right? This was
Yes.
like it was
Yeah.
using the
It
stylus.
It was
That
drawing
was
her
the whole
face
point.
on the
Yeah.
Galaxy Note 7.
So a couple galaxies ago, Samsung showed off the Note with some caricature artists who would sit there and draw you, and it took
Yeah.
a really long time. This one takes about 6 minutes. You know, it's using this sort of like kind of rudimentary program in order
Right.
to do it. They've got it down, but I thought it was kind of a cool way to show off the capabilities
Yeah.
because that's sort of like the deal with the Note. That's
No,
what it
we
does.
tried. I tried the S Pen, and I thought it was actually pretty responsive. Far more responsive than, well, not far, but it was more responsive than the last one.
It gets better and better.
Yeah, it felt almost like an actual pen or pencil.
All right. What about compared to the pencil? The Apple Pencil.
Ooh, I haven't tried the pencil
I haven't
actually.
either.
Have you?
No, it doesn't come bundled with the device.
Yeah.
Oh, you
only
have to
Scott-
buy it
only
separately.
Scott would
And it's
really
for
know.
like
We'll bring him in
it's
next
for an
time.
iPad. It's not.
Yeah.
And
I
it is.
know,
It
I
is
was
an
You're not
just
extra
gonna sit there with your
sensitive
phone and be like, "Hang on."
And Samsung didn't. I mean, they didn't miss the opportunity to take a jab at Apple, noting that this stylus comes with the phone and
Right.
is free.
Oh,
and doesn't need
and
charging.
also that
And
the
it's gonna
phone
have an
has
audio
a
jack.
headset jack.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
audio jack.
Yeah.
Also has an audio
Audio
jack.
jack.
That's
so-
where we've
Not
come
getting jacked.
in the
No,
smartphone market.
Samsung was definitely extra punchy. I thought they were extra
A
punchy.
little
here.
bit, but the show was thankfully pretty fast, so
Yes.
it never got too boring.
Well, they're probably feeling a bit of an upswing, right? Like their
Yeah.
finances are moving up.
Best,
Apple's are a
best
little
quarterly
down.
profits in 2 years.
Yeah, so
thanks to
they're
the
feeling
S7.
good about themselves.
That's a huge turnaround. Last year there were a lot of questions
They
about
had
whether or
like
not they
7
lost their mojo.
straight quarters of loss.
Right.
So yeah, so we'll see if the Note ends up doing well for them. Yeah.
So Brian, any questions?
A lot of people are just comparing it to the S7, calling it the big brother of the S7. How do you take that?
Yes, but like the big brother with like 20 more muscles and skills, right?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know if it's that much better.
Well, it does other stuff. Is
Yeah,
what I
but
mean.
yeah,
like
I would
there's this whole
describe
layer.
that. You know, I'm kind of like your big brother in that way.
yeah.
More muscle and more skill.
Are you talking about Roger? Or
You
me?
really talking about me?
I have a big brother.
Oh man.
I don't think you want to bring Seth into this.
Well, since
Yeah.
we've already broached the subject of getting face punched, yeah, that would probably be like, Seth, go get him.
Well, yeah. To your point, yes, it's got a stylus. It's the iris scanner.
Yeah, okay, so the things that are different, it's like, oh, there are gestures in the camera. Oh, it's got an iris scanner that you're not really ever going to use as your main unlock screen. Oh, it's blah, blah, blah. Like, the thing is, it's going to be more expensive. I haven't
Definitely.
fully reviewed this yet, but my feeling is if you don't want the pen, and if you're not going to use it, then don't bother getting a Note. Get the
Get
S7
the Edge or
Edge.
the yeah.
If you want the curved screens, because this one has
Well,
the curved
you know what?
screens with all those.
Let's talk about the price actually, because the carriers have come out with the pricing. It was $850 at T-Mobile, $880 at AT&T. Verizon and Sprint haven't had prices out yet, but you imagine it's around the same price. That's pretty expensive. That's a
lot.
starting
Oh, yeah.
price, right? I mean,
a
there's
lot.
granted there's only one model, but that's a lot for a phone, right?
It's a lot for a phone, and then you look at the OnePlus 3, which is $400, and you're like,
Right.
I could buy 2, or I could buy one this year and
That's
one
true.
next year.
Yep.
We got a question related. What's the trade-in situation going to be like?
Oh, that's a good question.
For what?
for like the
So specifically, somebody's asking if they can trade in their Note 5 and get a discount on the Note 7.
Sure, you
Yeah,
can
you'll
trade in
definitely-
any
So many
phone
ways to do that.
yeah,
anywhere.
I mean that's not a Samsung thing.
We
That's,
even have an article in CNET called "How to Recycle Your Phone for Cash."
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the best bet is to sell it yourself, really. Trading it into a carrier is not really going to get the best value.
No.
But it
I did
depends,
that
like
last
how much
time.
effort you want to put into
True.
it, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
are
yeah.
you going to be the
The
person who's like
easy-
standing at the Craigslist corner waiting for somebody to like turn it on and decide if they want to pay
Craigslist
you?
corner. Wow.
Well, you can't
You could
like,
do it on
meet in your
you
house.
could do it on eBay.
Yeah, you could do it on eBay.
What
I
about Best
suppose.
Buy?
Same
think
same
Best
deal.
Buy
Yeah.
is trade-in.
You're not going to get the huge value. It's more convenient though.
It's
for
more
sure.
convenient. They give
For
you a
sure.
gift card.
Yeah, and you can use that to another phone.
And same thing with your carrier. I mean, if you're going to go in there to pick up the phone anyway and you want like one and done, or you've got limited time, like it's better than nothing. It's better than having a device molder around.
That being said, you're probably going to get somewhere close to half the price. If you sell it directly to somebody else, you're always
You'll
going
get
to get
more.
more money.
Yeah.
And especially with
Yeah.
the types of these phones, even if it's 2 years old, it could be the difference of like more than $100.
Yeah.
So it could benefit you
I
to
know.
like actually put in
Yeah.
a little bit more work when selling a phone. I sold a phone recently, an iPhone 5C, on eBay, and they sell really, really quickly. So
Yeah.
I
would
feel like a
definitely
Note
recommend
5
that.
though, because the Note series is kind of specialized and selective. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if the S7 sold more and better, because it's more of a mass market device that more people would want. So the Note is more expensive,
Right.
but in terms of being able to find a buyer, I would imagine it's much easier to sell an S7
Well,
than it is
in general,
to sell a Note.
I think it's easier to sell iPhones. Like I don't know.
The easiest.
I don't know what
Probably right.
the
The
difference
absolute
is.
easiest, because there's one.
There's always going to be someone who wants to buy the iPhone.
Right.
Yes,
I'm not sure.
they
about the
retain their
Samsung
value
devices.
better than any other
They
phone.
do.
Yeah.
Samsung is
true.
number 2.
Yeah.
So I know too much about this.
Javier wants to know, why is the battery smaller than the S7 Edge?
Oh, barely. It's barely smaller.
yeah.
That's a great question. I think it's honestly,
No,
Roger's going to hate this, form factor. It's the shape and the design.
Oh, it
Hey,
is.
I'm
Just
using
say
other
use case.
words.
No, just
say use case.
Okay.
Don't say use. Just
Say
okay.
iterate. Say it.
And Roger is dead. It's my podcast
All right.
now.
So,
Jessica's
all right. She
359.
makes a really fair point. They were able to squeeze in the same size screen in a smaller body.
Larger
the
than the
design.
Edge,
It's larger than the Edge. The screen is larger than
with
the Edge.
fewer resources to power it.
Right. So yeah, there had to be some trade-offs. I frankly, because the battery difference isn't that huge.
It's not.
Getting into a body that's that small, that feels better in your hand than, well, my iPhone 6s Plus. It's a pretty interesting. It's an impressive accomplishment. I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like all of these phones, no matter how long the battery life is, you're still going to charge it every day.
Yeah.
So.
And they've actually got a cool accessory, a wireless charging sort of backing plate that it hooks into it and it charges wirelessly, so you don't have to plug it in. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. I have a stand actually at my office, and you just kind of like lean it up against
Right.
it, and it's just so easy. But you have to pay for it if you want it
Right.
aftermarket. It doesn't come bundled. I think bundled would be great, because I think it would kind of convert more people to wireless charging. And
Definitely.
I'm like really excited about wireless charging.
Yeah.
George wants to know what you think about the OS appearance, what the overall look and
Oh yeah,
style
they
of
made some
it.
tweaks to TouchWiz, right?
Oh, they know they have an
Do
expert
they
in
still
their
call it
midst.
TouchWiz, by the way? Because like I feel like TouchWiz
Yeah,
is.
so the code name was Grace, and during my briefing, I heard an exec call it Grace for a second before he corrected himself, and it's like, confirmed.
But yeah, what did you think of it? It's they tweaked it. It's a little
It's
rounder.
subtle.
The colors are a little bit softer.
Yeah,
right?
I think the settings menu is just kind of like less crowded. So they used to throw every single
Yeah.
option setting everywhere, and then you're like, because it's like, look how powerful we are.
Right.
We're Samsung, we have everything. But now it's just like buried, which is
That's nice.
it's nice unless they want you to discover it. I think it's more there for the people who already know about it and use it, or people
Right.
who love to dive into the settings and like
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of discover for themselves. But I would say it's a nice change. Like TouchWiz could not change fast enough.
Yeah.
I review a lot of Samsung phones, and this is not Samsung's fault, but I am so tired of looking at the darn OS. Like I need it to change.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you look at the same anything.
No, I agree. I mean, I have an S6 Edge, and I'm kind of sick of staring at that phone. So.
Yeah, I mean, like we could change the wallpapers and the launchers and
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
mix
the
it up a
icon
little
looks
bit.
though, it just
The one thing that I do like, so a lot of people are die-hard, like pure Android experience on the
Yeah.
Nexus and things like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, there are certain things that you can get with the skin that you can't get with pure Android. And then Google takes that and incorporates it, and everyone's like, this is this great feature.
Right.
But they hated it when it was bloatware or somewhere else. There's a limit, but sometimes it's nice. Sometimes there are nice, like quick access toggles that you can get to in a drop-down
Right,
menu that
right.
Google doesn't have. Or
Well,
like,
it sounds like they're getting closer to that
Yeah.
happy medium, right? Because it really did sound like it was bloatware a couple of years ago,
Oh, yeah.
and now
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing a much better job with their tweaks.
I mean, they had. I just remember, like in the previous iterations, they had their own translator program instead of Google's. Like that, Google's on top of it as well as their own. Why did they need that? No one really
because
knows.
they can do it. Because
S
they're a big
voice.
tech company.
S voice, yeah.
S voice?
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you
Do they
actually.
S everything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They asked the heck.
Zachary
S all of it.
Sorry, Brian.
Zachary wants to know about the speed. He just asks which is faster, and Zachary, you can correct me or specify if you want, but I'm assuming he's referring between the 7 and the Edge, which one performs faster, or maybe the 7 and the current iPhone. I don't know if you could give a compare-contrast about that. And while you're at it, he's also curious about the durability, so maybe you could go over the water
Is this
resistance
the
and
first
such for him.
GG5 flagship?
What?
Gorilla Glass 5.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
sorry.
Well, when I
Wow.
break the
Way
phone,
to
I'll
break-
tell you. Because I just managed to break like every other phone or
Right.
robot arm that comes within my reach. In terms of the performance speed, I mean, all the S7 phones have the exact same processor.
This Note 7 will be just as fast as the S7 and the S7
So
Edge.
it's a quad-core Snapdragon 820, and it was good, you know. But the question is also like, how responsive is it when you add the pen features in? Because that
Right.
real-world stuff is different,
Yeah.
right? You know, and that could cause lagginess if it wasn't perfected.
Right.
But they keep building, so generally it should be good. Against the iPhone, I
That's-
mean, we're
that's
gonna wait for the
kind-
iPhone 7.
Yeah, that's hard to say. Yeah, it's unfair, I think, to measure it against last year's iPhone. We'll probably wait for this year's. And also, I mean, clock speed wise, I mean, iPhone doesn't really. RAM and clock speed matter less to the iPhone because it's
Right.
stitched together, software, hardware. And
Yeah,
it's-
and we can run video, like
Right.
drain tests,
Right.
but still, if one phone is more optimized for video than the other, but the
Right.
other one, like, that isn't optimized, lasts you longer, like,
Yeah.
where does that get you?
But we'll definitely run those tests once the new iPhone comes out. We'll let you know.
And once we actually get a Note 7
Yes,
review
we
unit.
still actually don't have a Note 7 in-house.
No,
We've
we don't.
had some time with it, and you know, so far I came away pretty impressed.
So
How about
Did you-
durability?
yeah, I was
Yeah.
actually going to mention that because I've been getting into the pool with a lot of phones lately.
Yes,
So Samsung-
thrown into pools, pushed into pools. Yes,
It's funnier the more you watch me getting pushed into a pool. It's great.
I agree.
Yeah. So Samsung has these phones rated IP68. That's supposed to last up to 30 minutes in 5 feet of water. And there was this issue with the S7 Active that Consumer Reports found, and they're like, actually it didn't work.
Right.
And so we're like, oh, well, let's rerun it. You know, we did it like a bucket in a vase, but let's do it in a pool in deeper water.
Right.
So we did, and then it killed 2 of the phones, and Samsung's like, oh no, what happened? And then
Right.
they said that they found this flaw on like this first run batch, like it was a manufacturing error, and they fixed that, which I think means like a couple people got fired maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
And
That's pure
also,
speculation.
probably early adopters of the Active might want to check about their phones.
Yeah, there's a warranty, but it'd be nice if Samsung kind of like recalled all those and then
Yeah.
just gave you new ones so you never had to worry. But
Yep.
we did the test again, and we did it with the S7 and the S7 Edge, and all 3 phones passed one pool dunking. So hopefully this is the same, and hopefully there aren't problems because it's
Yep.
got like a more similar body than the Active, which was plastic.
Right.
So I feel like they're probably used to it, and then now they're on extra high alert because of the S7 Active flaw.
Now, how much time have you had with Gorilla Glass 5? You went to that event, right?
Actually, I did not go to that event,
Oh.
but Vanessa
Dang
did.
it.
Vanessa Han went and shot a cute video.
I'm sure they're quite durable and shiny.
I mean, here's the thing: you've got edges on a phone; those
Yeah.
are flaws. Those are automatic weak points.
Yep.
So if you're gonna get this phone, get a case. Try to get a screen protector. I don't know if they're doing molded screen protectors that go around the sides, but at least you can get one for the flat.
Right.
And then if your case kind of like hugs the shoulders, then you know that's better than nothing. Because
Yeah,
if
'cause
you're
I
gonna
noticed that-
pay
I noticed the
$1,000
the
for a
cases they
phone-
have don't really hug the sides. There's no side protection really.
Not
just
on
the back.
Samsung's, but there are
Yeah.
a bunch of brands that make pretty good cases, like Sketch, Spec.
Okay. So there you go. Even though they promise some durability, I would Jessica recommends getting a case.
If you're going to pay almost $1,000 for a device,
Yeah,
why wouldn't
that's
you get
true.
a case?
That's true.
What's a little more?
Did you spend any time with audio? Could you critique anything about the sound in headphones?
I actually don't have anything I can say about that. But
Fair enough.
I imagine it's exactly the same as the S7 or the S7
Yeah.
Edge. So if somebody's interested in pre-ordering, my best advice is to go to a store and try it. See for yourself, because Samsung's really not going to change any of that, and
Yeah.
they didn't talk about changing any of it, so it's going to be the same.
What about security and the iris scanner? How are they?
Yeah, well, with security, I mean, that's the big thing. It's the big new addition. I mean, I tried the iris scanner. Works pretty quickly. It's not something, I don't think you'd use it every day as your normal unlock method. Like, constantly staring at your phone just seems kind of stupid. It's not as natural as putting your finger on the phone. But I can see it as, you know, an extra layer of protection if you have a secure folder, as they tout, a secure folder in your phone where you've got personal documents, driver's license, whatever.
That was their
Yeah.
usage?
That's their
Yeah.
usage.
That's not, so you've already unlocked it with your thumbprint, and this is
It's a second layer of protection.
it sounds
The idea
like a
is like
bit of security
if
overkill.
you
but-
hand over your phone to your friends, they'd be able to look at photos, they'd be able to browse the web, but they couldn't access that secure folder.
Right, because I have nude pictures of myself on my phone.
Or
We
your
didn't-
bank statement.
We didn't really need to know that, but bank statements make a lot more sense.
No.
I'm just
Bank
going to pretend
statements-
you said passport.
Yeah.
You would have, for my iPhone, I have to do Touch ID a second time to get into my banking app. So
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
yeah.
I think
so-
it would be nice, and I haven't tested this, but I think it would be nice if you could just have like a bunch of different security measures,
Right.
sort of, and like the one that you pick is the one that works. Like if you held the phone up to your eyes, that's not very secure, but it would be more convenient.
It is. I mean, I've talked to a couple of security experts, and iris scanning is more secure than a fingerprint scan. So,
Except we talked about the sweat glands, right? Was that you?
no, with
So
sweat glands.
it was Qualcomm like a year plus ago.
Okay.
They were testing out some sort of like sonic.
Oh,
Like
I know.
fingerprint
yeah,
That was
okay.
at
that
MWC last year.
detected- Yeah. So I saw it beforehand, and they said that it detected, like, it read not just your print, but actually like mapped your sweat pores underneath. So if somebody were to cut off your finger, and try to like use your finger, apparently when that happens, your sweat glands will kind of constrict, so they wouldn't be able to do it. So it's this like biometric mapping that goes deeper into your actual
Right.
tissue without, of course, harming you. But that means that somebody wouldn't be able to just take like a gummy bear print either, or like
Right.
manufacture a plastic one. They
Right.
would have to know your unique physiology. In order to
Basically,
make that.
every Mission Impossible
that-
movie would never have happened.
But that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
that was a
Sweat
Qualcomm.
glands.
That was a Qualcomm tech. That wasn't the tech that's being used right now in fingerprint
Correct.
scanners. So
Yeah.
those are a lot easier to fool, unfortunately. So, anyways, we're running out of time. We got to wrap things up. Any last questions, Brian?
How about customization? How do you feel about the customization options as far as the operating system and the phone goes?
I don't think it's changed much from the last version, right?
There will be wallpapers. There will be a few themes. I think people who are more like diehard about it will want to kind of ROM their own, right? Which is a little riskier. You should only do that if you know what you're doing.
Right.
But they haven't added anything new. This is not
Yeah.
like Motorola where you can attach different mods and covers. It's going to be like everything else. If you want to splash out with a new cover, then you just have to find somebody who's going to make one.
All right, let's wrap things up. If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is available
Like this guy.
on Google Play Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, and TuneIn. We'll see you tomorrow. I got 'em all.
Awesome.